all of us coming back. I cannot accept this fade to black, and the thought of the wasted dreams of a nation down on its knees. Is it already over? Is it already over? Get your tickets to the circus show. If you don't, then you'll never know. Take a stand while you have the time. Drown your fear and keep hope alive. Be the change that you want to see. Be the wrench inside the machine. Is it already over? Is it already over? I don't think it's over. Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to this special Sunday night live that we're doing, and appreciate you guys being out here. Feel free to share the show, especially around Georgia District 53, because tonight I have a special guest with me. Of course, he's no stranger to Smallton Underground. He's been on the show with us a few times, helped us with things like SPLOST taxes, and we've covered a lot of stuff about commissioner, county commissioner stuff, because he was county commissioner of Chattooga County, Georgia. So I've gotten to know Blake pretty well over the course of all this, and now he is deciding to put in his candidacy to run for the now vacant position of state senator, the one that Colton Moore is vacating to run for Congress. So he wanted to stop by the show this evening so we could kind of just talk about everything. So like I said, feel free if you live in District 53, which covers Walker, Chattooga, a little bit of Whitfield, not Whitfield at all.
Walker, Chattooga, Catoosa, Dade, and a little bit of Floyd.
Floyd, that's right. A little bit. That's right. A little bit of Dade, Floyd. Gotcha. So anybody that's out there in the viewing area, please help share this, because tonight we're gonna get to know Blake, kind of get to re-know Blake a little bit, and talk to him about some things. So I'm gonna let you start, Blake. You were commissioner of Chattooga County for 4 years.
Yeah.
So why don't you give everybody a little bit of background?
Yeah. So name's Blake Elsberry. I currently live in Walker County, Rock Springs. I am married. We're going on 20 years this year, so the big 2-0.
All right.
Year, yeah. 2 kids. My son Will, who's 8, and my daughter Sarah Catherine, who turns 3 tomorrow. So we're in the middle of birthday party stuff. So, I was commissioner in Chattooga County last term.
Mm-hmm.
I currently work with a company, and I have the state of Georgia, and I actually work with cities and counties on roadway, helping them save money on the roadway, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But before I was commissioner, I spent 10 years in invasive cardiology.
Okay.
And worked in cardiac cath, worked with cardiologists on call for STEMIs, heart attacks, and pacemakers and things. And then before that, I was in Department of Corrections in the Special Management Unit. Worked there for a few years. So
Okay.
kind of a broad
Right, but
background.
you've been around the county. You've been in several kind of institutional type jobs, so you've got the feel for these kind of things, right?
I have, yeah. I spent a lot of time in on my county time, I was vice chair for legislative policy for all 159 counties.
Okay.
So we worked with legislative policy. We passed a few bills. I personally passed a few bills. Worked on vetoing a bill. And basically just kind of
my favorite kind of bill. No,
really enjoyed that work. And just enjoyed helping,
Right.
That's been the main thing is with all of my jobs is I've had the opportunity to help people, and that's really what really drives me.
Yeah. Tell me, how many people are, what's the population of Chattooga County?
Right now, it was around, at 2020 census is a little over 24,000.
Okay.
I think it's a little less now.
Gotcha.
They are listed as one of the counties in critical condition.
Okay.
Because they have had more deaths than births.
Got it. Really?
Yes.
Wow. I guess so. So like the birth rate's low, and a lot of people are just getting older and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that came out. The list came out last year, the new list.
Okay.
And I don't remember what all counties, but I just remember seeing that.
Gotcha.
And
you were also responsible for getting the first, was it the emergency care, the urgent care center?
Yes.
And it didn't cost the taxpayers a dime, right?
That's right. So we did the first freestanding ER in the state of Georgia. It's a stroke center. It's got a full CT, full radiology, full lab, helipad, and it's the first of its kind. And we did that with no county funds, no tax incentives. They got nothing.
That's impressive.
It was a good project.
Anytime that you're not spending my tax dollars,
that's it.
It's impressive to do that. So
that's it.
very cool, man.
Yeah.
So you've decided now you're out. You moved over to Walker, right? You've got a new house over here.
Moved to Rock Springs.
And so now you're going to run for state senate, right? We know that Colton's running for Congress. So kind of tell us what was your decision in that? Why do you want to run?
I like doing the legislative work. That was one of the things that I enjoyed. Outside of the county work, being commissioner. And just found that, we built a lot of good relationships during that time. Still have those. I still take groups to the Capitol every session. We work with different policy groups and things, conservative policy groups that I believe in. So I thought, well, why not use that to the benefit of our district? And if I can help our district, let's do it,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it seems it's going to be some big shoes to fill. Colton's been there for a while. I think he's done an excellent job. A lot of people, I get the question a lot. They say, well, he hasn't done anything. Well, there's so many bad things that are going on in Georgia. He's done a lot to safeguard us from all that, But obviously, we've got to worry about our counties, and we've got to do the right thing by our people. I mean, I'm excited to see the legislation this year, like really hitting taxes and actually communicating for the first time. I'd say, like, instead of bragging, like communicating, we're for real this time.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to jump in here and be a part of that. So
it is. I mean, of course, it's election year. And,
I know that. Yeah. Got to remind yourself.
But I mean, we really do have some good folks running on the state leadership offices. Lieutenant governor's got some really good folks running, who I know a good majority of those have good personal relationships with them. And I really think that a lot of these things that people are talking about, we have an opportunity to get them done in the future sessions with some of these people in office.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I'd like to move to something probably a little more personal, but it's something I think that the air needs to be cleared because you had been accused. So I don't know if accused is the right word or not, but upon your leaving office, the way I understand it, there was an issue with a contractor, and somehow you were involved in it, and so there was an investigation that ensued, right? And of course, this investigation has continued on for quite a while. And so the speculation, the rumor mill started that Blake Elsberry you're a crook and you're entangled in some sort of catastrophe.
Yeah.
And it was only recently that there was a public statement made about this case that pretty much exonerates anybody else of any wrongdoing, right? So I did make a public post because I've seen the accusations and we have some. I don't even know if I call them troublemakers, but just people that want to lie and sort of, stretch these stories. So I want to give you the opportunity on the show since people are learning about you. So can you Fill us in on this fiasco.
Yeah, so, unfortunately we see this sometimes when people leave office. There will be an investigation into what, the previous person did. I've talked to roughly 3 different commissioners who've gone through similar situations across the state. But basically they did an investigation on all the contracts that we did.
Okay.
It was fine. I sat down with the GBI, answered all the questions. They had full access to all my bank accounts. I said, here, wrote down all my bank account numbers. Like, look, you see a bill that I haven't paid, let me know, Right. Basically just tried to keep my grace about me.
Sure.
As they went through the process. It was a long process. It went a lot longer than what I had hoped.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that, I had done nothing wrong. And so, you just got to ride it out.
Right.
But there was, all the contracts were done, just like they're supposed to be done. The contract that they actually ended up, arresting that guy for because he didn't complete the work and the money, that was done, bid out, just like every other state contract is bid out for counties. Mm-hmm. It was done through the county attorney. And so, it's like I've told people, I said, you hope that the contractors uphold their end of the bargain, and you hope, and of course, contractors hope that the counties are going to pay them or cities are going to pay them after they're done. But unfortunately, they didn't, and the county did exactly what I would have done in the same position.
Right.
Right. And so anyway, but I knew on my end that I had done nothing wrong. We had followed the rules, so I just had to kind of ride it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I hated it. I hated hearing some of the ugliness.
Right, and I think that's, like I said, people take advantage of the silence, right?
Yeah.
In your case, you're just going to let things roll because you've done nothing wrong.
That's right.
And so in that silence, people that like to speculate, especially if they don't like you or agree with you, they get to run with that kind of perception, right?
Yeah. I knew that eventually, it'd be closed and everything would be done, and what had to take place had to take place.
Right.
So
is the case closed? Of
Yes.
course, the case is closed. Have you gotten everything on your end? Have they delivered everything they need to?
They haven't. I mean, I get, the GBI is not going to contact you and say, hey, we're done or whatever. That's not going to happen. They don't do that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I figured I would at least want a phone call from them saying, hey, we've had you out here on the line for a while. It's over.
I had never experienced anything like that.
Right.
So I did talk to some people who had been through similar situations, and they're like, look, Blake, this is what you can expect. And exactly what they told me is exactly what, so.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that you have to leave office and not be able to be communicated with. Not you would think that there would be better graceful terms.
Well, and
the commissioner.
And I'll tell you honestly, like for me, I can let a lot of the ugly comments and things and accusations kind of roll off because I knew that, I had done nothing wrong. The thing that concerned me the most, and I'm being quite honest, was the fact that they had multiple vendors that they ran through the ringer with that. And luckily they didn't, bash the vendors' good names or anything like that. But we had local companies, statewide companies who were very good, legitimate companies that do great job for counties and cities all across the state. And they got, ran through that whole issue too. So I hated it for them.
It turned into a fiasco, right?
Yeah.
And so pretty much we, just publicly we can lay that to rest now. There's nothing else there. And okay. Well, good. I'm glad. I mean, I had the faith because I had talked to you about it off air. We've talked about it. And I believe you because, you seem like a man with great integrity.
Well, and I've told you this before, I'm honest to a fault sometimes.
I hear you.
Politics is one of those things where, everybody's
Politics doesn't require honesty. We want it. We wish it did.
That's right. And everybody's got a plan and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that way,
Exactly.
And so,
I don't like working in the shadows either. I like to just throw it all out there, and people will figure out who you are.
Well, it's the same thing. You talk about legislative policy or candidates running for office, and they say, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." Yeah, that's great. But be honest about the roadblocks to get that done.
Sure. I appreciated some of the candidates. We did the GRA convention yesterday. It was actually it was a forum.
Yeah.
But we did have our own convention afterwards. But I really enjoyed it. A lot of good candidates out there. I really think that a lot of these people we can make relationships with in the future.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate some of the honesty, because it helps, and it helps if as long as we're being honest with each other. It helps figure out where you're at on this playing field and how to move together.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to start with, and by the way, anybody that has questions out there for Blake, we're going to spend about the next 15, 20 minutes talking shop, and then we'll spend the rest of it going through for questions. So please feel free to ask questions. This man is running for the state Senate position here. Okay. So I'm going to start off with his first question that Senator Greg Dozal, who's running for lieutenant governor, he popped in last week, kind of unannounced, and we let him in. Mm-hmm. And he said, ask every candidate, and I think this is a fair question, but what is the role of government? I want you to tell me, what is the role of government?
I'm going to say first and foremost to protect the Constitution and our Bill of Rights.
Amen.
I'm going to say that's and especially on the federal side, but of course on the state side as well. I'd say on the, if you want to go a little bit further, it is to help with the welfare of the citizens, mm-hmm. Whether that's, you're representing the state or the nation or whatever. I think other than that, our local governments have a little bit different mandate only because they offer a lot of services, that are necessary on the local mm-hmm. level that really the state does not do. So, you kind of have to know in what area are you serving?
Right. Yeah, of course. So I like you brought up the Constitution. Obviously, I think that if we were governing more by the Constitution, right, that we wouldn't be in near as bad a shape as we're in. Yeah. Now, when you get down into communities, obviously it's not just a black and white issue. There's gray mm-hmm. areas all over the place, especially when you're dealing with, a two-party system, which, sometimes they look the same. But again, there's usually always a right way to do things, and I don't think we follow it enough. So
you're right, and I think too, like you said, talking about the local level, local control is a big thing, mm-hmm. and no county and city is the same,
right?
And so when you start passing legislation, and this is one of the things that I think sets me apart from some of the other candidates too, is I've experienced and had interaction with the legislative process as it relates to legislation that's passed that could inadvertently either hurt or help counties and cities downrange.
Right.
And so, and that was what we did. We were like the guardrails, making sure that bad legislation didn't make it that affected counties and cities, and good legislation did.
Right.
And so, I think for the local level, it's real important to have someone that understands that, mm-hmm. Because it's real easy for legislation to get passed and have like a blanket legislation, and it may be great for South Georgia, mm-hmm. but detrimental for Northwest Georgia.
Sure.
And so it's important.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So can you give me just give me a few examples of what you would do should you become our state senator? What are your priorities for this district?
Well, of course, I'm a big advocate of listening. And I think that's where and we've talked about this before, some people have accused me of being weak.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. But I like to listen. Mm-hmm. So, of course, my big thing during this campaign is listening to people, asking them what the issues that are important to them. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you an example. So when I was county commissioner, I would take all the calls, any calls. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there would be angry calls,
Sure.
And you get a citizen who you just went out there and you worked on their ditch, you worked on their road, you got it fixed what they were wanting. It wasn't done exactly how they wanted it, and they call back and they're very upset, and you listen to them. And some of the staff would tell me after I got off the phone, maybe an hour-long phone call, they'd go, y'all were out there yesterday. I said, look, that is important to that person. Mm-hmm. Right now, that's the most important thing to them. And we're going to make sure that we address it and help them the best we can.
Yeah.
And so that's my priority with this campaign, is really listen to what people, are concerned about. But for me, too, on some of the things that I'm looking at, of course, income tax is a big deal. State could have done that a long time ago, but I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad they're doing it.
Property tax.
Property tax is my next big thing, and we've talked about property tax. I've been on here talking about it.
We have,
and we can get to that. But farming, mm-hmm. I have a huge concern about how the state's been in this economic development at all cost type situation.
Amen.
Thought process. and we've lost a lot of farms because of that.
Well, we're not prioritizing agriculture.
We're not.
They make believe like we are, but we're not.
No, it's the state's number one industry, and we tout it, but we're losing farms at just a huge rate.
Right.
And I think a lot of it boils down to the next generation. We incentivize and we try to help the farmers as much as we can that are currently there, but we're looking at the next generation of farmers. How are we helping the next generation of farmers?
That's right.
How are we helping them afford to be able to farm?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the only industries where you pay retail price to get started, but you sell your goods at wholesale price.
Right.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
So that's a big concern for me. That'd be a priority for me. Expanding rural health care, we've done that. I know it can be done. I know it can be done without local investment. And I know that projects like what we did in Chattooga could be used all across the state.
Absolutely.
So that's another one. Elections, election
yeah.
integrity, big deal.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me what do you see? How do you think that we have an issue with our current election system? And would you be willing to look at supporting paper ballots to fix it, or do you have another idea?
I think that we definitely have an issue. I would support paper ballots. I would support same-day voting.
Absolutely.
I would support closed primaries.
Yeah.
I would support non-excused absentee voting, except for the infirmed, ill, sick, elderly, or,
I'd like to interject
veterans.
on that. I see a lot of people, and I think we miss that, and we need to address that, right? Because, yes, I'm 100% for same-day voting, right?
Yeah.
I want to make it a federal holiday.
Yeah, that'd
but
be
we
great.
also have to take into effect people that are handicapped. We don't want them waiting in long lines. Obviously, there would be some amenities made for people that have disabilities. So I want everybody out there to know that nobody is forgetting about people that have special needs in this.
Well, and we got to think, too, that elections cost local governments the most.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
A lot of money could be saved.
And that's taxpayer money. That's your money, my money, everybody's money.
Agreed.
And so the thing is that how do you do that without costing the counties and cities more? I think the state could take a little bit more responsibility in that regard, but also if you do same-day voting, you're not doing as many days. You're not having to set up all the precincts for multiple days at a time and pay all those people. So I think there's a way to do it. Now, whether or not you have support through the legislature to get it done, is another big question.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of these questions are going to be like stuff that's really important to me, and then we're going to get to comments. But where do you stand on obviously the First Amendment, and then where do you stand on the Second Amendment?
Well, if you noticed, going back to our previous conversation about the topic before, is I have not ever blocked anybody or went at, I would say.
So in other words, you don't run from detractors, right?
No. If somebody gets on one of my posts and goes on a tirade, it's going to stay there.
Sure.
Because inadvertently, they're either going to continue to do it, or at some point, they're going to say, you know what, maybe I was wrong. But the post is going to stay there unless they take it down.
Gotcha.
I'm not. No. First Amendment is not for just the speech you like; it's for the speech you don't like too.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. You would hope people would have, more grace about them sometimes, but that's not necessarily the case.
But you're not at all for curbing our First Amendment rights, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
No matter what these draconian laws.
No matter what, even the ones that I may disagree with, as far as people that get online and spew whatever they're going to spew. It is what it is.
Okay.
But.
And what about the Second Amendment? There's always going to be debate. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment?
Always been in full support of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Yeah. No way.
Shall not be infringed.
That's
right?
it. That's it.
Okay. Now I want to ask another question. That's data centers are not going away.
Yep.
Covered a lot of that. We've covered a little bit of agriculture, but I'm looking for a state senator who is going to get actively involved in not only the communication to the people, because we've been very misled on data centers. All right, we know that data centers are coming. While our rural communities are very, very scared that we're going to be overrun with these things. Are you going to promise to be a state senator that has open door policy, is going to listen to the concerns of the people, and make the best decisions on stuff like this. This is huge moving into the future.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you always want to know what are the concerns there. And I'll give you an example. So somebody asked me that same question before when I was in kind of the same question when I was a commissioner. Mm-hmm. And I always told them, I said, look, if Ferrari came tomorrow and said that they wanted to build a facility in Chattooga County and it was going to be a $3 billion investment and going to hire 600 people, I'm going to tell everybody, it's a great opportunity for us. But if the public doesn't want it,
right,
I'm going to tell them I'm not interested.
Wow.
And
that's how it's supposed to work.
And that's hard though. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of local, and I'm not saying a lot, but when you're in those positions, your goal is to try to do what's best for the people.
Right.
But you're representing them too.
That's right. This is a job interview, by the way.
That's right. And so, but yeah, no, data centers, as AI continues to be used and more people use it every day, you're going to see more data centers. The big issue on data centers is the fact that the local governments and governments in general see the tax revenue. Now, we have seen one or two local governments who have decided, hey, we're going to look at trying to do away with property tax and putting it all in the data centers.
Sure.
Which is fine. On a local level, that's an option that they have. On the state level, though, I think they need to take a harder look at these data centers, especially on how they're impacting our resources.
Absolutely. Resources. Well, see, that's where I think the bait and switches happen, because I believe that our current administration just decided they were just going to ramrod these things through and everybody's going to be okay with it. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to politicize it, like saying, oh, this is a Democrat issue. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not. This is an issue about my communities.
It is. And I think it's one of those things where, Republicans are always capitalism and free market, and I'm all for it.
Sure.
But we have to really be cautious about how some of these things are impacting our areas.
And I see some of these people that are running. At the very least, we've got people running for like lieutenant governor positions who are now addressing this, and that's what we want.
That's right.
Don't make these decisions; just throw them on the people without talking about this. I mean, that's it. I want you to. Will you have an open door policy and talk to anybody?
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen some of these people in way higher positions that will run when they see you, just run.
No, and I think you've known me long enough too to know that I will talk to anybody. It doesn't matter, even if you don't think anything like me.
Yes.
If they've got an issue, I'll talk to them.
I think that's
I was the same way in local office. There were people who ran campaigns against me when I ran for commissioner the first time. But then after I was commissioner, they genuinely had an issue. They called me with the issue that they genuinely need help with. I'd help them all day long.
Well, I mean, I can vouch for that, Blake. I've leaned on you a lot for questions when I've needed questions that do with something that you came on the show about the SPLOST taxes, and we weren't there to discredit people. We were there to educate, and I think that's the best thing. If you don't get educated about how your own local government works,
that's it.
What do we do?
Well, it's the same thing with sales tax or House Bill 581 or any of the other stuff.
Right.
The issue is not to try to pitch it to somebody and get them to buy it or not like it. The issue is just to tell them the good and the bad.
Yes.
Because there's always going to be a negative to a piece of legislation.
Absolutely.
And then let the voters decide, do they like it or not?
Okay.
And then that way, then your legislator knows, okay, look, the majority of my people in my area are not for this.
Right.
And these are the issues and these are the concerns, and I see it. So let me talk to who's drafting this bill. Let me see if we can, hash out some of those concerns and change it. And if we can't, then I will vote against it.
Gotcha. Good answer. All right, before we go into the comments, because I just see them popping up left and right. So I want to go back to one thing we talked about. So there's people that are genuinely concerned about Blake Elsberry. They say that you're a little soft-spoken, that you can appear to be weak, that they don't know that you're going to be strong enough to handle this. So what do you have to say about that? What's your response?
So like I told you earlier, I like to listen. If you listen to somebody, not only and truly listen to somebody, not just listen to wait for your turn to talk, but truly listen. You learn a lot about that person. You learn a lot about what concerns they have, but you also learn more about them. And so that's probably why I come off kind of quiet. I'm not a yeller. I'm not a pound the fist type person. I'm going to stand on my principle, and then if forced to make work or make action, I'm going to make action. We didn't build the ER for nothing. We did not cut taxes, drastically, or cut $4 million in spending while I was in office, or we were the only county in the state that declared June the month of life. We were the only government building in the state of Georgia that flew a pro-life flag.
That's wonderful.
That's not weakness.
No.
That's strength. But I don't have to pound my fist and yell it.
Right.
I just do the work and do the action.
Yeah.
And let the action speak for themselves.
Okay.
And I think, too, it's great to have these hard stances on these hard issues that we push, and it's great to get up to the well and talk about it. And I'll definitely do that. But in the meantime, also, these issues that you have that you want to see changes on, are you able to garner support in the legislature to change that?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference. I'll be able to do that.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I think that we've been had for a while. But I also see a brighter, I'm seriously, and folks, y'all might agree with me or disagree with me, but being down here in the muck and going through COVID and having and going through these 2 terms where we have a sort of a breath of fresh air, I see a situation where we're going to have more level heads coming in, because we've been fighting for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've had to fight, right?
Yeah.
Maybe now is a window of opportunity that we can actually sit down and figure this out, and we don't have to fight as hard, right?
I think so.
I think more people are willing to come down, and we're willing to come up and learn and meet somewhere. And I think that's the only way we're going to move forward. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck in this divisional, cesspool.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of it. I know the people out there are tired of it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, we've got a good crowd in here this evening, so I'm gonna come back up, and you can see it with me. So we're looking for questions for Mr. Blake Elsberry, who's running for Senate in Georgia's District 53. So I'm in his name's good to see you. Carol, thank you for sharing. Jennifer White, thank you. Denise Penley Owen, good to see you. Patty Lee, that would be great. You should go on Lucretia Hughes' show. She would probably love to have you on there. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Lisa Adams, love you, Lisa. Angela Rubino, good to see you. Earl Klein, good to see you. Charles Stoker is in the house, so you got Charles Stoker's attention tonight, Sir Charles. Ray Blankenship, good to see you. Beth Dunn, she says it's a nice center. I'm assuming she's talking about the ER. Let's see. Beth Dunn says, now I'm hoping Blake Elsberry can help Walker County get a pediatrician. So I actually kind of heard something about that. Like we were kind of, we have an ebb and flow in Walker County. We have the Be Well Clinic, but I don't think we have a pediatrician right now. And so I think there's, obviously like anywhere else,
there's serious healthcare needs across the state. And we're seeing a lot of the smaller hospitals have closed down.
That's right.
And it's a money thing, right?
Of course.
Because it's an investment from the hospital groups.
Right.
Millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so, but I think there's ways we can.
Good. And Beth Dunn says, also, Blake Elsberry, help us get the foster children and get the kids more money for services. I think that's a wonderful idea. I think our foster system is always neglected, right? And we don't prioritize that enough. So that's a good point, Beth. Oh, Christina Benjamin, good to see you. So this is a good question. Ask Blake about these liability protection bills like HB 211 PFAS and SB 411 Monsanto Bayer protection bills. So are you familiar with the bill she's talking about?
I'm familiar with 211.
I think the SB 411 is the Monsanto bill, the Roundup bill that they want to label as safe or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're both liability. How do you feel about this PFAS situation, liability?
I know that they're talking about it in regards to tort reform. I think this is a bad avenue, though, if you're going to engage tort reform in these two topics.
Right.
I am not for 211, and from what you're telling me about 411, I'm probably not going to be for that either.
No.
The issue that I take with 211 is the fact that, especially in Northwest Georgia, we know we have a problem. And counties and cities are having to deal with it. They're having to file lawsuits to get the money necessary to build these facilities, to try to clean up these issues. And so with HB 211, what you're going to end up turning is the companies that use that chemical are going to be able to use it without any repercussions until there is something else to be replace it with. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
part of it, yeah.
It's just going to create a bigger issue as far as the pollution goes.
Sure.
And then counties and cities will have to foot the bill for cleaning up the water, which means the local taxpayers have to foot the bill for cleaning up the water. So, no.
Well, the thing about 211 is, I don't want our companies to be sued, but if the parent company knew that it was a liability with the product, then why are we worried about shielding corporations when they can sue the manufacturer of these?
Well, and the thing is, too, I know that the concern probably from some of the legislators who were supporting the bill is the fact that there's a lot of these industries that employ a lot of people, right?
Sure.
But these industries aren't going to go anywhere
I think
because they get sued for that.
Absolutely.
They're going to turn around and they're going to sue 3M or whoever else produced it, and then all they have to show that, hey, we honestly did not know the issues
exactly
when it's happened. And
yes.
so it's actually 3M's fault. And the argument will be, well, attorneys get rich off it. Attorneys are going to get rich no matter what. So,
and I can tell you firsthand, I know some of these companies have already taken some very big proactive steps to
that's right
to take care
that's
of this
exactly
issue.
right. That's exactly right.
And rather than spend our time with a shielding bill, why aren't we spending more time on? I mean, we have this wonderful surplus in the state. Why aren't we declaring some sort of state of emergency and allowing some of this money to go where it needs to go, and then focus on the cleanup, focus on the communities instead of the freaking corporations?
Well, and if you, like I said, if you give them that protection, then they can continue to use that product and continue to pollute it. And you cannot tell me, I really would like to see a study done by either Department of Health or somebody that would look at the cancer rates in Northwest Georgia for the past few years, because honestly, I really feel like the increase in cancer is from this.
It's very possible.
And, at what point does economic development trump the health and welfare of our people?
Yes, exactly. The safety of our drinking water.
So,
I get it, man.
Yeah.
But apparently, you're not supposed to talk about this. You're a Republican. And I'm like, shut up. No, this is not what I signed on. And this is the very thing I'm talking about, Blake. Had we, the people, not been paying attention, this was a substandard bill that was just going to be signed, and it should have already went in last year. But because we were watching, they pulled that bill, and they put it in committee and said they were going to reword it, right? And so now they're freaking out about it again because they really want to pass it, and it's on everybody's radar. And that's exactly where it should be. We should be better than this.
I think it just it opens up Pandora's box.
Absolutely.
Really
you start shielding corporations of liability. Next thing you know, you're shielding from somebody else, and we all know that once a law gets put in, it's very hard to get taken out. This is the wrong approach. So you don't agree with it?
No.
All right. Well, I'm not going to harp too much on it. Great question, Christina Benjamin.
Question,
Always love to have you here at the show. Flock cameras. What do you think about flock cameras?
Yeah, I have some issues with that too, especially with when it comes to some of these that were taking the pictures and sending the tickets via.
We've had them in Catoosa. We've had them in Floyd County
via mail. I understand the thought process, but like a lot of things, especially legislation that comes down, House Bill 581, for instance, great, and there's some great parts in it, but not exactly all the bugs ironed out.
Oh, no. And not enough education, not enough discussion between the communities.
Nope.
There's a difference between public safety, and there's a difference between like a ticket catch or a way overuse of like Big Brother power.
That's right.
And we're nowhere near.
That's right. What kind of guardrails, do you have on it to use it for what it's supposed to be used for? Like if you're looking for, a convict that's on the run or somebody who is kidnapped a kid, that's one thing. But yeah. And I think it boils down, like you said, education.
Yeah. So absolutely. Angela Rubino asked, why did it take so long to close out the case? So I'm assuming she's referring to the case against you, or do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, honestly, from never being through that process before, some of the folks that I talked to, relatively about a year was about the time frame they said. And from some of the attorneys that I had talked to before, because I did look at possible defamation stuff, they told me that look, there's no time frame on it, and it could take a long time.
Okay.
I'm actually glad that they were able to close it up when,
So in other words, you think maybe it was quicker than we thought, right? Or I mean, is this just standard policy?
I think it's probably standard policy. I mean, if I had lawyered up and made it hard for them to get information, it probably would have taken longer. But the thing was, I was open book.
Yeah,
and I gave them access to everything. So I was like, look, y'all have at it.
I got you.
So I think being cooperative and just letting it go through the process was beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Betty Brady, good to see you. Thank you for watching. Marionette Munoz Collier, thank you for watching. We love you down there. Jennifer White says, good question. Many of us contacted the DA's office asking for answers, but he said he didn't know where the case was or what was happening. So, Beth Dunn says, I don't think he knows why it took so long. They were trying hard to find something and didn't. So do you want to comment on either one of them?
No, for me, I just, like I told you before, I just tried to keep my grace and let it go through the process. It was very frustrating.
Right.
Especially when you're in, your name's kind of dragged through the mud a little bit.
Exactly.
But then again, when you know that you haven't done anything wrong, you just let it play out, and anything that I would have said to some of the folks that were online really, pushing a bad narrative, it wouldn't have mattered what I said anyway.
I see what you're saying. I mean, good point. I understand. Thomas White, good to see you tonight. Says, strange or just coincidence? DA resigns and backup DA locks up the vendor and clears Blake. I just thought it odd. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Blake McMillan, hello from Savannah. Hello, Blake. Good to see you on the show tonight. Appreciate you being here, Savannah. Y'all just got a great win down in Savannah with the first piece of legislation passed this year. Was pretty awesome. So glad to see it. Oh, there's Greg Dozal, who is running for lieutenant governor. He's with us this evening. Good to see you. Hey, Greg, if you're still watching, I want you to know the first question that I asked him was exactly the question you told me to ask, and that will be the first question that I'm going to ask every person. He said, "Good first instinct." Oh, that's what this comment. I didn't even read it.
Yeah.
Defend the Constitution, secure the rights. Bravo and amen. That's what if we keep this mindset, right? I think a lot of these people are figuring out that it's a different game. This is a political game. But when you have people coming in that aren't looking for a means to an end, right? That are not looking for a handout, that are not looking for a special place. And I think it takes a while for them to figure it out, right? And now it's like, okay, I see this. We're not setting up gotcha. There's no quid pro quo here. We're going to do the right thing. And when you start applying that to laws and the way that you look at communities, I'll give you a perfect example, and I don't want to get hung up on this, but yesterday at the GRA convention, we had 9 candidates, and I thought it was beautiful. The aura in the room, the people that were there, it was just so many people. Nobody was fussing and fighting, and everybody was in there, and they were just ready. They were ready for the change, right? Ready for something positive. Yeah, it was beautiful. But the question was asked about paper ballots, and all 9 of those candidates, they put their hands up. They said yes. And you know what? A couple of years ago, when you're down at the Capitol, you're talking to a legislator who's pretending like they have no idea what you're talking about. They're laughing at us behind their backs and calling us crazy, schizo, conspiracy theorists, all this. There's nothing wrong with the election. I've got representatives here that continue to tell me that the 2020 election was perfect. Yeah. Why? Because they thought we were wanting Donald Trump to win in 2020. They thought we were going to go back. No, that's not. We're trying to fix this election for everybody. Yeah. And 2 years ago, you wouldn't have got those hands up. And you look at Fulton County alone and everything that our groups have done, and now people get it. You can't hide it.
That's right.
It was beautiful to see that. But I think our people, everybody's figuring it out. Like, hey, we're in this because we really want to fix this. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, Carol Streeter. Thank you for the comment, Mr. Dozal. Carol Streeter says, that's how the GBI is. I've also had the audit Adult Protection Agency and DFACS refuse to tell me whether a case was over. Absolutely. Some one of these days we're going to have to get Carol on the show when things calm down and tell her story. She's got wild stories to tell about all this. So I make my promise, Carol. We're going to get you on one evening. We may look at like summer after sort of the Welcome to the Jungle is kind of calmed down a little bit. So, but thank you for that. And Beth Dunn says, do you plan on looking into helping our foster kiddos, getting input from the foster community regardless of what defect says? Our kids are not getting the services they need since the budget cut. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I know a lot of people that foster and have done some great things with the kids in their care, and it's definitely a high priority for me.
Okay.
I talked to a gentleman about 2 years ago who owns a healthcare company, and he went through the foster system when he was younger, and he does a lot of work with foster. It's a big issue. It's a big issue.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray Blankenship is a foster child.
Really?
And he's one of the smartest men I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
One of the best guys ever. So I know it works.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We do.
Oh, yeah.
We do. We need to take a bigger look at that.
And there's I couldn't imagine, we talked about doing that before, we had kids kind of late in life, didn't know if we could have kids. Right. And then the good Lord said, hey, here's two, we had discussed that, and it takes such a special person to do that. I mean, it really does, especially to take a child into your home and not knowing if they're, how long are they going to be there, and the issues that child came from,
Have you ever met Holly Theree?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm going to introduce you to Holly Theree. Okay. She is one of the coolest, bravest advocates I've ever, met, and she does a lot in special needs and children, and it's a beautiful thing what she's doing. But I hope that we can continue to escalate her voice and make this needs to be a priority. We've got to take. I'm pro-life 100%. We got to take care of our kids. We want more kids on the earth. We want babies. We want good families. Our culture. We've got to pick up this degeneracy and shove it out of the way and get back to the God, family, faith, country. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Let's see here. And Denise and Greg are talking. Wonderful. And he's got a link up here at teamgregdozal.com. Lauren Elsberry, welcome to the show, Lauren. She says, hey, Dad, we were playing a game, and Kate kept sending me back to start. Oh, man. That's awesome. And then Will sends his love.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, sir.
All right. So Christina says, same-day voting is also known as vote on Election Day, no early voting. Amen.
That's right. That's right.
And the thing is I totally 100% agree with that, Christina. And, all the people like us that we're going to vote, I will leave work to vote on Election Day. Yeah. But there's so many people that I have to, that poke and prod like, hey, go vote. And you got to get them there early. Mm-hmm. I wish we could change this whole thing and make it a federal holiday. It would be beautiful to do that.
I'll tell Will I love him too.
Yes. Vicky Sutton, good to see you. Says advanced voting costs taxpayers money. Amen. Richard Schroeder. Richard, I will be down with you on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to being down at the Capitol, by the way. I haven't posted it yet, but we're going to go down to the Capitol. Antonio and I are going to be there. We're going to be there with Georgia for Truth. We're going to be hanging out a little bit with some of the Freedom Caucus people, and we're just going to be looking to meet and greet and talk to some of our legislators. So, big day down at the Capitol on Tuesday. I can't wait. We're going to get down there early. So, if anybody wants to go, reach out to me. He says it's a lot easier for poll workers to set up paper rolls and paper ballots. Setting up the poll pads, ballot marking devices, and tabulators is cumbersome. Now, that's saying it lightly, but you're 100% right, man. Charles Stoker says, do you believe in a real balanced budget without exception for war or emergencies? That means zero bonding, zero borrowing money, no exceptions. So what's your take on it? I mean,
bonds, and my only interaction is going to be on local government side. Bonds can really get a local government into some issues.
Sure.
The county before I got there had my first year in office finished up a bond, and it was really it just cost a lot. Just cost a lot. For me, when I was in local office, they were borrowing a TAN, which is a tax anticipation note, at $4.5 million, and that was not for special projects. That was just to try to get through the year.
Gotcha.
When I left, we had rolled back property tax. It was like a little over 18 point something mils when I came in. And when I left in 4 years, it was 10 point something mils. We were taking in about $513,000 less in property tax. And we only borrowed $500,000 TAN. We cut $4 million out.
That's great.
So we were basically net neutral, just about. And it's one of those things that takes time. It's like if you decide to build up a bunch of personal credit and get yourself in credit card debt, you can't just overnight cut it out.
Understood.
You got to wean yourself off. So it's the same thing.
You get to that point, and then you run an efficient government.
That's right. That's right.
Whew. I think that solved that. Ray Blankenship says the JDA needs to go. Do you have a comment about the JDA? And we don't have to get off into the weeds, but
yeah, the process has always been that the joint development authorities and the other economic development authorities get all the RFIs from industries for those areas, and then their role is basically to weed through those and see which ones fit for the area, and then they will contact the local government, whatever area that is that they're interested in, and say, hey, look, we got this possible one. They want to talk about this or talk about tax incentives or whatever. The issue that I take with them is the fact that all of it goes through a third party.
Right.
So you don't really know how many you're getting, how many RFIs you're getting, what companies are interested. Are these all the companies that are interested, or are there some that we don't ever know about that we would have liked to have talked to?
Sure. So information's not shared.
It's just not as freely shared as what you would hope.
Well, let me ask you, do I vote for any of these people that work for these development authorities?
No.
But I vote for commissioner, right?
Yep.
But the people that are over our economic development, I don't have a say-so in who's bringing that in, right?
That's right. And we get back into that conversation we had earlier about economic development at all costs.
So, in other words, they could be putting anybody in these positions, and we would not know what's going on.
That's right.
That's
right. And you need to ask, too, the conversations need to be asked. And, of course, with the state, it's really not, but your local governments, how much money is being invested in.
Right. Because the local government has a development authority, right?
Some do, some don't. So that's the whole reason why they were established, is because you have some local governments and that have their own economic development.
Okay.
That's paid for by county funds.
Right.
And the people that are hired there are established or hired by your commission board or city council, wherever it is. But some of the smaller counties can't afford that, and so they will develop a joint development authority for like a multiple county area.
Right.
And those counties will all pitch in, so because they can't afford to have
so
their
the
own
counties will split the bill.
Yeah.
And then there's another development authority above them, right? It's like a stair stepper, sort of a regional development authority. And where do they derive their power from? How does their power come?
You got your regional commissions,
right.
But they're really not as much on the economic. I mean, they do a little bit of economic development. Most of their stuff is with helping with labor, jobs, things of that nature.
Right.
I will tell you, on your regional commissions, one of the things that I utilized them for the most, because we did not have and could not afford it, was grants. When we would go after funding, our county could not afford to hire a grant writer at what they cost. And so we would utilize
How
our
unfortunate.
regional commission. Yeah. Now, of course, I did a lot of them too on my own too.
But,
but the regional commission was there, and they helped a lot with that.
Well, I definitely think we should get a little more educated on how all this stuff works, how businesses come in, why, and who is bringing this stuff in, and where is there any accountability, right?
Well, and like I said, if are these groups being utilized the way they're supposed to be structured, or is there something else going on? And
Gotcha.
Take a deep dive into it,
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for the question, Ray. Marinette says data centers is bad for the environment, will cost water and electricity tremendously, and who's paying for the cost? So, I hope that we are getting to a point where we're going to be finding out a lot more. There was a guy, and I'm not going to get off on a tangent, a guy that posted out of Floyd County today. It was a huge, long post, but this guy had went and gotten all the water records and compared it to the water usage in the city and the county and these data centers, and it's mind-blowing. I didn't really have time to look into it, but again, These are questions that need to be answered. People are afraid of these things, or we're afraid of our rural communities becoming overrun with them.
Yeah.
The data's not looking good. This one data center is applying for a clean air permit for 87 diesel generators to run this thing, and I'm like, don't tell me that that's not something to worry about. I'm not this tree hugger I'm not out there about climate change, but like, that's a lot of diesel generators.
Well, how much farmland have we lost?
How much farmland? How much water is this using?
Yes.
Where's all the? It's many questions, right?
Yeah.
And we feel like we've been left out in the cold. So, Christina says, I want state senator to support Chuck Hufstetler in SB 34 to make data centers pay up the bills. I've read that bill. Are you familiar with his bill?
I have looked at it. And at first glance, I would be in support of that.
Yeah.
I think it's an overall good bill. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but at first glance of what I've looked at, it looks like a good bill.
I mean, anything is proactive that involves some sort of regulation when you already know that the state legislature was pushing regulation completely back, right?
I do not understand the tax breaks. I don't either. I don't understand that.
I don't. And like Greg Dozal, there are implementing some laws now that we're looking at that stops this madness.
That's right.
And he's got all the numbers, and I'm like, this is what I want to see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So great question,
I would be in
support
of that
bill.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's come down. Ray said, tell us how you're going to battle the PFAS issue. So
I think we definitely need to have something done as far as a study in Northwest Georgia about the amount of cancer cases.
Yes,
in
and I
relation to that.
think that's already ongoing.
I've heard that they've been talking about it. I know there's some groups that have done some independent studies. Now, whether the state has actually done one, I don't think that's happened yet.
Probably not.
But that needs to happen.
Sure.
I think too, though, what would happen if you set something in place like 211, you're not ever going to get to the bare bones.
Exactly.
Of when did the corporations know that they were bad? Did they know it was bad, or was it just the manufacturer of the actual material, the product?
Yeah.
So if you have something like 211, you're never going to find that out unless you have an independent agency investigate all that.
Right.
But if you don't have 211 and it has to go through those legal processes, then you're going to find out, well, this corporation really didn't know that it caused an issue when they were using it. Now they do, and from this point on, they're going to do something else or whatever. So I think it all stems back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of us. I do not want out-of-state lawyers. I don't want firms here suing the pants off of our corporations. I don't want corporations to shutter and go away. But the conversation is so one-sided.
It is.
And if the best thing that you can throw up in my face is that under the Donald Trump administration, the EPA labels this as thing for the. I don't want to hear it, because none of my representatives are even talking about community needs and the water and cleanup or anything. Everything is one-sided here. So we can see right through this, man. We do not want to give blanket immunity to anybody. We want to fix the problem.
Well, and we're talking about people's health here. We're talking about
no, nobody talks about the people's health.
Well, and that's the issue.
No.
Is how many people do you know? I know personally at least 5 or 6 in the past 2 years that have been diagnosed with cancer. That and it's the cancer that we know is caused by the PFAS.
Another thing, we're not stupid. We know that PFAS is another things. We're focusing specifically on this 3N chemical because we have some of the highest rates in the entire nation.
Yeah, I mean it's in everything. We're not talking about trying to attack everything, but we do know for our area that there is definitely an issue with the water.
I want to focus on the issue.
And can we not do something at the state level to take care of that? That's what we need to look at.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you. All right. Betty Brady, let's see. Yes, she's talking about how special time allowances. I do agree, and I just want all the people out there to know that I can promise you, people that work on this stuff every day are taking that into effect. We always leave that out when we talk about same-day voting, but absolutely, we got to take care of our disabled, our veterans, special needs, 110%. So,
well, and I think your voter turnout would be better too.
Right. Let's see. Stand back, listen, learn, and act. Let's see. Are you for changing the sole commissioner position to a committee. Basically, would you be willing to do away with sole commissioners in the state?
So that takes a local referendum, and you'd have to put it on the referendum
people
for
have
a vote.
to decide.
Yeah, and so I would let it be up to the people.
Gotcha.
If the people decided, hey, we'd like to put it on the ballot and put up for a vote. I know of one county that's got a sole, and I think that not this ballot, but I think 28. It's going to go back up for the ballot. They've put it up a couple of times. It's always been voted down. But some people wanted it, and so that commissioners put it back up. So, if they want to put it on the ballot, put it on the ballot. Let people vote for it, see what they want.
That's right. Let the people decide.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
You work for me. You need me a lot more than I need you, Blake. This is a job interview.
Well, that's right. That's right. Well, and that's what I've said before. I said, let's go back to elections, and we've seen it. It's very populist right now. We vote on popularism. We're not voting on policy and what work gets done.
Yes.
And our elected officials, they're employees. They're not celebrities.
They're not, and we're changing that. All right.
That's right.
We've been asleep at the wheel. Look, this is a servant position, and we're supposed to find the best and the brightest to represent us, and we're supposed to have an open dialogue, and we're supposed to work together. Yeah. It's not that you don't get in this position and you're king of the hill. And then we still have a lot of legislators who have had that privilege of being king of the hill because nobody asked anything of them. Yeah. No more long business as usual. No more.
That's right.
So, okay, let's see. I'm looking for questions here, guys. And you may want to go back and hit the comments, anything you see. Sharon Holland, it's good to see you, Sharon. Thank you. Sloan TV, good to see you. Thank you for being a part of the show. Greasy Boots, my man. I got to hang out with Greasy Boots yesterday. He's wonderful from Floyd County. Just wonderful, wonderful people. I'm telling you, that room was electric, man. Everybody was so nice to each other. I could go on about it. And it was so nice. I know Jungle Primary kind of sucks, but guess what? I love seeing all these candidates with all these different perspectives, and I don't want them to be one and dones. I want to create relationships, and let's move forward together, and it was good. So let's see here. Let's see. Okay, the scoundrels who pushed this investigation should have to go through the same scrutiny. Turnabout is fair play. When will Mullis and his cohorts be scrutinized for their self-dealing? I don't know if that's quite a question, but we deal with a lot of things up here, and unfortunately, I'll leave it at that. Earl says, will Blake pick up the same fight that Colton had? Is he actually for we the people like Colton? So are you a man of the people?
Oh, yes. And I think I've showed that. I've showed that through our work that we've done, when I was in office locally and then, continued. I mean, and I'll give you another example. So, for instance, and this is just me, I genuinely like to help people. I'm in another county, not in our district, way off another area. And we're talking about the roads. And then we got talking about legislation and politics and different things. And there was a bill that they had never gotten passed. It seemed like a no-brainer. It was a really good bill. And back 5 years ago. And I said, well, send me the bill number. And let me see if I can find any information on it. Got the bill number. Got the author. Talked to them. And now they're going to bring it back up. And that's just it's not even our district. It's not, so it's just helping folks. And now I want to do that for our area. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's how it's supposed to work, Blake.
That's it.
I'm supposed to care about the people of Southwest Georgia, South Georgia.
That's right.
Those people are supposed to care about me.
That's right.
Maybe we don't have an overrun of these warehouses like they do down in South Georgia, but knowing what they're going through and knowing we bring each other together, I'm so tired of the people that put the horse blinders on and they don't care about anybody else, right? Yeah. I want to help people down there. I want them to help us up here. That's the way we're supposed to work. We're all in this state together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's see, Blake. Then thank you for the question, Earl. And will you join me at the Capitol? You coming down to the Capitol Tuesday?
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah,
it's going to be a great.
I like going down there.
I'm telling you, Sam Carline, Field, Cersei, the whole gang. Man, they're some of the greatest patriots you'd ever want to be around. Yeah. They sing, they have fun. There's so much fun to be around, man.
I'm going to tell you, I was just there a couple weeks ago. They did a whole day policy meeting on on addiction recovery,
Yeah.
and then the fentanyl issue.
Mm-hmm.
They had a bunch of speakers. They had some like, back and forth and some conversation, and it was really good. A lot of good topics where that's concerned. And that would be another priority for me too.
Yeah.
We have a big issue in our area with not just fentanyl,
Yeah.
but people who are recovering,
Right.
that need support,
Oh, big time.
We've
got mental health issues
Yes.
in this state.
Yes.
The jails
Yes.
are full of them.
Yes.
I'm hopefully going to get our sheriff on soon to talk about some of it. But
Yeah, and the stigma around it,
Yeah.
the stigma around it. I mean, these people are struggling, and I get it, I get it. But, I mean, there is not one of us who has not been affected by this issue some
right.
way or another.
100%.
Whether personally or a round way.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to tell you, I'm glad I'm going down Tuesday because I was kind of loaded for bear if I'd have went down the first day. But now I want to go down and just have a good time. I want to smile and laugh and be down there in a different setting because now we have people we can talk to and now people are listening to us.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
All right, so I'm going to read this comment from Ray because I think it's important. He says, when you think that no one cares about you, a foster parent shows up to take you in. There's no greater thing that a person could do, in my mind, is to take a child into their home and treat them with love and love them like their own. Catoosa County is looking for foster parents badly from what I hear. God will bless you like he did with my foster parents. My wife and I adopted our 2 children, and I hate to have seen where our kids would have ended up if we hadn't. Step up with you can.
Yeah, that's great. That is great.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
Give me cold chills, brother.
And it, like I said, it takes a special person to step up like that. It really
does. And I'm going to tell you, there's no doubt in my mind that God had put Ray in my life because, I have so much respect for the man. It's just...
Yeah.
All right. Jan Sheffield, thank you for watching. Let's see. I'm going to we're going to come down a little bit because we're a little bit crunched for time here.
I can go as long as you can go.
Okay, Greg Dozal, there was a comment about a delinquent on yearly audit and financial statements with Department of Audits. What are the consequences? Or you can answer that.
What happens when you're delinquent
Yeah.
on a yearly audit and financial statement, Department of Audits, Accounts, Secretary of State's Office? Okay. So, so if you're discussing, in regards to my history with that is just going to be with local government. Mm-hmm. So for local governments, if you're delinquent on your audit, then you cannot apply for any state or federal grants.
Okay.
So, and it seems like that, that's a big enough issue in itself. But then you start thinking about things that counties get and cities get every year that helps them function, like LMIG, Local Maintenance Improvement Grant, or LRA, Local Road Assistance. All of those help pay for paving. That's most counties and cities pave their roads with those funds.
And that's a big issue.
If you're not getting that, can you pave? Most counties and cities, even with a T-SPLOST, it can be difficult to have enough money to pave. I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Gotcha.
So that's a big issue. Of course, it affects the other constitutional offices too.
Right.
Because then the financial fiduciary is the county.
Right.
Well, then your other elected offices can't apply for grants because their fiduciary is out of compliance.
That's no good.
So, yeah, it's an issue. Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Thomas. Greg Dozal says, every Georgian paying income tax works 2 weeks a year to generate the same tax revenue that we gave the data centers in abatements last year. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, he's got the numbers.
I'm telling you. I mean, and I go back to the ER, that zero tax incentives, zero abatements, and those were conversations. I mean, I cold called hospital groups when we did that. Wow. And the first conversation was, well, what are you offering? I said, nothing. Mm-hmm. I said, but if you don't do it, your competitor will.
You mean to tell me you didn't offer them anything and they still came and
the only thing they got out of me was about the 4 weeks of me being with them and supporting them as they went through the CON process, which that's a whole other issue in itself that needs to be dealt with.
But it can be done.
Can be done.
Why on earth are we allowing data centers to take over this state and we're not getting a thing for it anyway?
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
Gosh. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you for bringing that up, sir. Let's see. And that's a good comment. I'll read the comment. Attorney Ben Finley testified during committee that the companies knew that PFAS was causing harm. So we're not seeing the last of this. I mean, this is an issue. And do you agree with getting away from the state income taxes and property taxes?
Yes. So, my stance on taxes is tax me when I buy something and leave me alone.
Amen.
I did not go into an agreement with the government to lease my home. Now, if I borrowed money from the bank or whatever financial institution I borrowed from, and then I don't pay that back, that's the contract I have. So, but also, I'm from local government. There are small communities, counties and cities, their only form of financial means to provide the services that they provide and then have to provide per the Georgia Constitution or anywhere else is from property tax. Mm-hmm. They don't get all the other sales tax and all that stuff. They just don't have it. And so what we're going to have to do as far as property tax go, not only is that a Georgia constitutional amendment you're going to have to do, but you're also going to have to find them another avenue to be able to fund the services to provide for the citizens. And so that's the conversations we need to be having.
And I want to say this as plainly as I can say it. And I represent a vast majority of the people. I do not have a problem paying taxes. Yeah. Never had a problem paying my fair share.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've always been for a flat tax. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something fair, understood that it's my part, my civic duty as an American blood, even though that it's not even law that we pay taxes. Mm-hmm. The problem is for decades and decades upon decades, we've been overtaken and overtaxed to death. We are to a point where we can't afford to be taxed anymore.
And that's right.
We can't afford to divide our millage rates with the school taxes based on. It's out of control.
We've got to have an honest conversation about it.
Yes.
And we need to have an honest conversation about the types of taxes and what they really do. Because, like I said, my issue on property taxes on principle, like what I just said a minute ago, but also when people say that sales tax is the fairest tax. In principle, it is, but only if you don't have property tax. Because even if you're an area that has a lot of tourism, the citizens that live there are still getting double taxed.
Yes.
And so, but we have to be honest, too, that increasing any type of sales tax can be regressive.
Absolutely.
Because there are people, like you and I may be able to cut back and not buy as much to save money if we all sales tax. But there are senior citizens.
Yes.
There are people on limited incomes who literally cannot cut anything else.
Yeah.
And so we need to have conversations, honest conversations about it, and what kind of path moves forward that does not hurt those folks, but also helps us get away from this property tax.
Yes, and I am applauding this Senate for their work on this.
I think we actually have.
I don't think it's perfect.
It's never going to be perfect.
But guess what? If now's not the time, then when is?
That's
this
right.
Is
I think we've got a great group that's really trying to look at this difficult situation.
I do. So let's see here. Beth will get you. She needs a yard sign.
All right.
I'm going to let you get some of the other comments here later. Do you believe in taking bribe money from foreign nations is okay?
No.
It's an easy one.
Yeah.
Let's. Charles says yes or no. Release the Epstein files.
Release them.
Release them. Why not? Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see. Got to get down through here. Lisa says if she was in district, she would vote for you. So that's nice.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Oh, it looks like Beth Dunn says 28 years foster parents.
Oh, nice.
That's wonderful. I commend you for that. I really do. Oh, Jan Sheffield's going to be there on Tuesday. Good, great. I hope we have a great turnout on Tuesday. Betsy Jorgensen, great to see you, Betsy. Love her to death. And her husband says Georgia has the highest auto insurance rates. This needs to be addressed too. Mm-hmm. Whew, I agree. Well, all of our insurance, right?
Oh yeah.
We've allowed taxes. We've allowed insurance companies. We've allowed all of these things to get skewed. Now, mind you, I'm not sitting here saying that we don't have these natural disasters or plain disasters and things get skewed, but we're at a breaking point where everything is high. The inflation. I do think the Trump administration is working probably overtime to bring some of this down. We're seeing a little relief. I hope we see more, but yes.
Well, and I'll give you a little thing.
Taxed and insured to death.
Yes, and I'll tell you something about insurance too. Another issue is not being approved for the things that people need. That's another thing. And I'll give you an example. We had an employee when I was in local office who needed a certain type of treatment. they were refused twice.
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call basically said that they're going to be refused a third time. And so just so happened, I have a good friend who was able to help me and literally talked to the second in command at that insurance company, and we got them approved. I was grateful that we were able to do it, and I was so thankful to my friend to get it to it, and they were able to get their treatments that they needed and move on. We shouldn't have to do that, though.
I agree, and I'm interested to see what the Trump administration is doing. This is a very highly political issue with Medicaid and the Democrats, and we Obamacare. There are so many things. It's almost impossible to fix them all, but I hope that we can. I really do. And that's what we need. We need good people in there that's got open door policies, that's going to listen to the people, that's going to do the right thing and get everybody what they need.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So Richard Tharp, it's great to see you, Richard Tharp. He's the District 3 Catoosa County Commissioner, and I hear nothing but good things about Mr. Tharp, and he is another communicator out in the communities, and they are working overtime over there to fix a lot of things that's been bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at his comment now, and we did some PowerPoints on 581. I did some PowerPoints on 581.
Right.
You remember we did some of those.
We did.
And I agree. I mean, the floss is one of the good things out of that bill that really is going to help. But, the state needs to find a solution to properly fund education and take that burden off local taxpayers. I agree. And that's going to take an amendment to the Georgia Constitution.
Right.
But like we said before, those are conversations that need to be had now.
No, I agree. And it's crazy to me to watch when we're learning and educating, and we know what T-SPLOS is, we know what E-SPLOS is, but then the floss comes up, and it's like it comes up all over the place, and we got to cheerlead for it, and it's like, no, what we need to do is get educated about it. I'm not going to sit back and say that a special purpose tax is horrible, right? I'm against all these taxes, right? You got to sell it to me.
Yeah.
But until we're having the right conversations about what these things actually do, and the fact that there shouldn't be any back doors with this money, and we know that there's all kinds of strings attached, right? But I'm all for it. It's a discussion that needs to be had.
Let's go back to the education point, you know. And the thing is that I think, like what we talked about before, it's giving the honest facts about what it is, the good and the bad, and then let the voters decide what they want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right, folks. So we're going to come to a close here. Absolutely fabulous comments. Blake, I urge you to go into the comments and answer any questions or any comments we've missed. You are now running. We do not know when qualification is for. Okay, no. So we're still waiting on that. Yeah. But you're committed. You're going to run.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. You're gonna try to run for Senate, District 53, folks. This is Blake. I'm sure Blake will be back on the show. Blake always helps me with questions. I'm not that smart, and I will rely on people smarter than me, and when I have questions. So I appreciate.
Well, I do the same thing, and sometimes when you have a question and I don't know the exact answer, I call somebody smarter than me too. So,
but I give all my guests the last word. So, Blake, I'm going to give you the last word. You tell the people what you want them to know.
Well, no, I just appreciate everybody, your comments and questions. If you got some more, you want to reach out, contact us on our Facebook page, our website, email. Shoot me an instant message, and I'll send you my number, and we'll talk. Whatever issue or concern you have, just holler at me. I mean, I love talking to people and love hearing about what they got going on. Would love to have your vote and support as we move forward. I honestly like helping people, and I really think that I could really help our district. So.
Okay. Do you have any events or anything scheduled or coming up?
I think the next thing as far as event goes, I'm going to be at the Dade County Republican meeting coming up at the end of this month. Was 26th maybe or 29th. And then I'm going to be doing something in Walker in February. As far as like an actual campaign event, not yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, great. Blake, I appreciate you stopping by on the show. I wish you best of luck. I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.
Yeah.
And folks, I'm telling you, I don't take this the wrong way. I'm not in it to win it. I'm in it to find the best people possible to fill these positions so that they can do the right thing. If we're only consideration is winning, then we lose if we put the wrong people in. So I want y'all to think about that. It's our responsibility to get educated. It's our responsibility to create relationships. educate ourselves, talk these things through, and we need all hands on deck. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this special live, and we will see you guys soon.